cord to my computer just to make sure that I don't lose it. Who knows, maybe I'm over my limit.
I don't know where the cloud goes, so I can never find it when it's on the cloud.
They send you an email and tell you, but often I'm over the limit. So we're good. I just see Jean Beatty just dropped in. Hello to you. Hey, Candace, I didn't even say good morning to you. Sorry about that. Bobby
Good morning. Good morning.
Unmute yourself, lady. Your mouth is running, but we can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
My mouth is running. Okay. Are you working out back there? Is that what I see? What is this?
Barbershop to me.
Oh, is that what I have up? I forgot what I had up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
No, I think he's getting a
I
haircut.
don't know what to
Got a
say.
haircut.
Yeah.
Looking, I'm straining, but good grief.
I did get a haircut. Here,
That's
I got all kinds of things here. We got
What, do
funding
you have
your
a new dog
purpose.
training Nautilus or something?
I got flowers. What do you want? What do you want? I kind
of like the flower.
Hey, how about this one? Just so you guys know, did you know that you can have video up in your background
Oh,
screen?
that's nice.
Is that no? All I did was
That
go to
is
the
so
site,
cool. I
right
didn't
click
know
and
that.
save that to my desktop and then
I
put it
love
up here.
it.
I'm taking it down though, because otherwise we're going to just all be, you know,
There you go. Back to the gym.
yeah. I'm back to the barber shop.
Is that a barbershop? Cool.
That's a
Yeah.
barber shop. Hey, morning, Martha Floyd. Bobby, I didn't say good morning to you earlier. I didn't say good morning to a lot of people, but you know what? It is a few minutes after 10 and we want to get started because I know that Clara and you guys have a busy day today. And just so appreciative that you've dropped by this morning. And I think we're going to have a wonderful time. Thanks to those who showed up to hear Living a Life of Passion. You know, it's the fourth time I've heard it and it was awesome. I want to just start the morning by asking, and you're going to have to first everybody mute yourself unless you're going to speak. And right now I want to ask you, is there anyone in our group this morning who has written their 2 notes for the day? First one to unmute yourself and say yes. Anybody written 2 notes? Anybody?
Morning, Rich. Shall we try again?
Yeah. Well, golly gee, I was going to give away
I'll be on my way
a free
too.
video.
Bye.
So we'll do it next week. Write your notes. All right. Well, good morning to you. We have more than our usual group that's going to join us this morning. Some extra folks in the company, and maybe even a few that are visiting today from outside the company. And everybody's welcome. Think it's going to be a great morning. Glad you're here. And don't forget to mute yourself, whoever that is in the background. Again, we're so glad to have Clara. Many of us who've been here for a while have.
I know, he's been very, very elusive that way.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute everybody.
Sign your opportunities.
Can I mute everybody? View options.
Be able to.
Can you do that? All right. So those of you who have been here with us for a while, gotta know. Clara, she's a master coach with Ninja. She was here with us, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago when we did our installation. And you know, she does coaching and always willing to help out and be there. So we're so thankful to have her. And Clara, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you take over.
Love it. Fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for allowing me to join you today. We're going to be talking about some components of building a smart business. For those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, again, my name is Clara, and I've been in real estate since 1993. And I was very fortunate enough that in 2009, I was introduced to the Ninja selling system, and it completely changed my life. And when I talk about changing my life, it was not just on the business side, but it really was on the life side. I am a single mom. I was getting my master's degree. I was working full time. I was building my coaching business. And needless to say, the plates were starting to fall from the spinning. And Ninja really gave me a system to learn about priorities, to really learn about building relationships, and just to bring it all together. together. And I was so impressed by the system that I, luckily enough, was be able to join the team. So I am one of their master coaches and trainers, and hopefully we'll be seeing all of you again in person when we can finally start traveling again. I know I was supposed to be out there in May, so you're going to be seeing me at least for the next 3 months over video, and we're going to be doing some mini coaching sessions together until I can get back out on the road and come see you in person. So we do have the chat box open. So if you do have some chats, if we have a fairly small group, so if you did want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to do that. If not, John is going to be watching the chat box for me, and you can interrupt at any time. It's important for me that you find value and you get your questions answered. In addition to that, I am here as your coach, and I am here as your resource. So if after today you have questions, if there's something that you want to talk about one-on-one with me, you'll get all my contact information and you can reach out and ask me questions. I am definitely here to help in any way that I can. So for some of you that are familiar with Ninja, we're going to be going over some of the key components. So these are going to be a great reset and a great refresh and reminder for you. For some of you that are newer to Ninja, we're going to give you some tools that are going to help you right now to be able to get yourself re-energized. You know, we're going into the second half of the year, and I know in the fact that I've been talking with people coast to coast, even in Canada, there's a lot going on out there. There is a lot of business happening. There is a lot of opportunity that is even going to be coming. So we need to make sure that we are getting a system together that is going to help us and really help us build in sustainability and also some breathing room in our business, so we can not just take care of having a healthy business, but also have a healthy life. So with that, let's dive in and let's give you some tips on building a smart business. The first thing I want to remind everybody about is the main goal of Ninja. This was something that really struck home with me, is the idea that it's not only about helping you increase your income per hour, but this idea of having a life. I have been through so many trainings, and even though they all worked and I took away some great tips, none of them really talked about having a life. And for those of you that have listened to Larry's concept and video about finding passion, you can see that this is really at the forefront of Ninja. We want our people to be happy. We want our people to live fulfilling lives, and have work only enhance that. So we are definitely looking at how you can really work to increase your income per hour, and you do that by identifying the right things to do. And what we're going to do today is talk about what we call the Ninja 9, which is what we consider the right things to do to help you build a relational and sustainable business. So what is a smart business? If we're talking about how to help you build one, first and foremost, it is one that needs to be sustainable. Now, I've been in the business for many, many years, and the dynamic that I see so many times with agents that I work with is what I refer to as the peaks and valleys, where I have a lot of business right now, and I work on that business, and I get all that business closed, and then I have nothing. And then I ramp it up, and I'm all stressed out, and I work to ramp it up, and then I'm busy again, and then I'm nothing. We want to get rid of that, because that causes too much stress, and it doesn't create a foundation for long-term growth and happiness. So when you work the system, because Ninja is a system, it helps you bring in sustainability to what you're doing so that you don't have those peaks and valleys. We also want you to have a high income per hour. Now, when I teach this class in person, I ask everyone to raise their hand, but what I find is that less than about 1% of people know what their dollar per hour is. And we need to change that, because we want to make sure it's not about doing everything. It's about making sure you're doing the right things for your business and focusing on the components and the activities that are going to really help you grow your business in the right way and have you focus on being in the right areas with the things that you need to do, because we are all the CEOs of our own business, and we need to start running our business as such. And when you know what your dollar per hour is, you can start making really good decisions about where you are investing your time. Say that again, investing your time. I think when a lot of us take a class, we do new marketing, we're always thinking about what's going to be the return on this investment. But very few of us think about our investment of time. And if I do this activity, if I invest an hour of my time in this activity, what is the return I'm going to get back? What is the return I'm going to get back if I invest an hour in making a flyer versus what is the return I'm going to get back if I invest an hour in calling my sphere of influence? Two very different outcomes there. So we need to start thinking about how we are going to invest our time so that we can, work at the highest level possible. And then again, have a fulfilling life and career. So really paying attention to those. And we're going to talk a little bit about putting our week together and planning our week. I know that there have been some forms that have been sent out to you. So we're going to talk about those and how to ensure that our life also gets time on our books as well. So some of you have been introduced to Larry Kendall, and you know that he has created this system because he knew that there was a better way of doing business out there. And the main component that he really has come up with is it all is about being a purpose-driven realtor rather than an accidental one. I refer to an accidental realtor sometimes as the Pop-Tart realtor, where just like a Pop-Tart pops out of the toaster in the morning, a lot of agents get up and they're like, whoa, what am I supposed to do today? They have no real purpose. And what happens is when we don't have purpose, we start acting as if we're that hamster on the wheel and we're just running and running and running and running. We have got to bring in purpose. We have got to bring in direction, and we have got to have a system that we run. Because when we are that hamster on the wheel, we can only do that for so long before burnout comes. And we cannot have sustainability. So having the system, running the system, understanding the keys is going to help you be more purposeful in what you're doing, but also be more calm, be able to run the system. And when you have to step away from the system, because I don't know about you guys, but I love vacations. I love to go on vacations. I also have parents that are elderly, and sometimes I need to run out and go take care of them. I'm human just like everyone else. I may get sick. Having a system allows you to get back on track so much sooner so you don't spin out of control. So in Ninja, we really focus on 3 key components: mindset, skill sets, and actions. And I know a lot of you have talked about this, and some of you who were on the session this morning dove into a little bit about finding your purpose with mindset. But what I have found is that mindset really trumps everything else. So that's what I want to start off with today. Is I want to start off by talking a little bit about the importance of mindset in running a purpose-driven business. With our mindset, you can have really 2 different ones: the mindset of a player or the mindset of a victim. Now, I also like to use what I call the mindset of a champion, because I think a champion just takes it up a notch from a player. A player shows up and they're confident, they know what they need to do, they're in control. A victim on the other side is more negative, they tend to blame, they're just looking at all the reasons things can't happen. The reason I like to focus on a champion is because winners, players, they're doing great when they're out there winning. But a champion understands that even in the face of adversity, they still need to get up and keep pushing through. And that is what so many of our ninjas do. When COVID hit a few months ago, a lot of people shifted into that victim mindset. And what we really needed to do is bring them back and talk to them about what they can control. Talk with them about the power of connection, the power of relationships. Because the ones that I saw that went into the victim mindset, they started spiraling out. But my ninjas that really honed in on that player mentality, they are killing it. I have several clients that are having 10, 12 closings a month right now because they took a step back and they said, how are we going to face this? How are we going to stand up in this level of adversity and be able to go forward? I remember one of my clients, and she was one of the first ones that called me in March. And she was like, I'm freaking out. I need to pause coaching. My husband lost his job. The world is crashing down. And I was like, okay, time out. Let's just calm down for a minute. Let's take a step back. And we came up with a 90-day plan. And she is one of the ones that she had 10 closings in June. And she already has 7 set up for July. So again, it just shows how we can easily go, because we all have moments, myself included, where we can go into that victim mindset, but that's not going to serve us. And our energy, how we show up, is transfer. And you might have heard the example of the 2 guitars. If I had 2 guitars in front of me, one on my left and one on my right, and I was to strum the strings of one guitar, within a couple of minutes, the other guitar would start vibrating as well. And it's because the music vibrates on the waves. It's the same thing with our energies. Isn't it? Can't you feel it? Can't you feel when you talk with someone, even if it's just on the phone? You can tell by their tone. You can tell by their body language. You can tell by their energy. What is the frequency at which they are showing up today? You know, are they walking down with their shoulders slumped? Are they looking up? Are they smiling? Are they frowning? You know, so much of what we do is transferred in this energy. And this is so important to us because just like viruses are contagious, our energy is contagious too. And we want to make sure that the more that we can show up as that player or that champion, that is the vibe that we want to go through. And the vibe is really transferred by what we are thinking and what we are feeling. So how do we shift? If we find ourselves in a victim mindset, how do we shift into our player mindset? So what I want you all to do right now is on a piece of paper, just very easily, I want you to think about a time that you showed up at your best. I want you to think about a time that you were in the zone. You know, everything was clicking along the way it was. You left an appointment and you're like, I nailed it. You know, everything was just happening the way it was. So I want you to think about a moment in that area, and I want you to write down for you what are 5 words that you would use to describe yourself in that moment. Don't overthink it, just what are 5 words that you would use to describe yourself in that moment. All right, I did open up the chat box. So if you want to go ahead and if you want to put in, you don't have to put all 5, but maybe just put in 1 or 2 words that you wrote down and we'll kind of just shout them out. So let's see some of the words that you wrote down on your 5. Outward thinking, energetic, confident, focused, victorious, love it, connected, generous, these are great, euphoric, love that word. These are fantastic. So prepared. So why do we do these 5 words? Enthusiastic. This is you when you are at your best. So energy actually even has 4 different quadrants. We have everything from the high negative, which would be your victim mentality, all the way to the high positive. The high positive was what we refer to also as the performance quadrant. This is where we need to be. This is where we are when we are in that champion mindset. Our job is to make sure that we are showing up every day in that champion mindset quadrant, because this is the vibe that we want to bring. I think of this as my job. So my 5 words are energized, prepared, passionate, genuine, and inspiring. That is Clara when Clara is at her best. So part of my job every morning is before I start working, before I get on stage, whether it's teaching, coaching, showing properties, whatever it is, I need to make sure that I am in my 5-word performance quadrant. Because if I show up as anything less than those 5 words, I am not serving at the level in which I have been committed to share. Now, being that I'm human, not every day I'm always feeling these 5 words. Some days I'm not feeling super energetic. Maybe I'm not feeling very prepared or inspiring. How am I going to get there? Maybe that's where I take 10 minutes to watch a video, to listen to a song, to go on Pinterest and find some inspirational quotes. Maybe I want to look over my notes or my slides to help me get ready. But I need to make sure, because the vibe that I want to make sure I am transferring out there is one of positivity, energy, all of these things. So I encourage you, make sure you are getting in the right vibe. Make sure you are doing that. You can do this throughout the day if you find you're shifty, but make sure that you're going into each day and that you are transferring that, because the way that we show up will encourage others to do the same. So we want to make sure that it is so important that we have that mindset. Are there any questions so far? Anybody have any comments? Great. So another way of making sure we have a right mindset is also paying attention to not just are we showing up as a player or a victim, but where is our focus going? So we have a phrase in Ninja, what you focus on expands. And this is really critical is during all times, but especially right now. You know, I think so many people often feel out of control. Being that we are in a commission-based business, we sometimes feel like we don't have control over our business and our future. And when we are having times where things are happening in the economy or with a virus or all these other things, we tend to give our control to those items. So Stephen Covey has actually laid out what he calls the 3 circles: the circle of concern, the circle of influence, and the circle of control. We have more control than we think we do, but we often give that control away, and that is what a victim does. But as a player, we want to make sure we take that control back. And really, we can control 2 things: the mindset that we show up with and the actions that we take. But when we show up and we focus on the things that we can control, magic happens. You know, I can't control if somebody signs a contract. I can't control what the Federal Reserves do and the federal government does with interest rates. But I can control how I show up every day, and I can control if I do my job. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is your real job. And I am here to tell you, real estate is not your real job. Your real job is serving others. Your real job is being a resource and helping others through their points of pain and through their points of pleasure. We are there to help them long term. In Ninja, there are no past clients. There are just clients. There are just our people and our friends. And we are there to serve them, not just during the transactions, but between the transactions. And when we understand that, we have so much more control. And when we get up every day with a mindset of not who can I sell a home to, but who can I serve? Who can I add value to? That is how we win the day. And that is how we create sustainability and create a long-term business practice. We need to make sure that we are focusing on the right things and staying in control, because we can get distracted so easily. And I love this quote from Robin Sharma: the enemy of mastery is not mediocrity, it is distractions. And it is this addiction to distractions that ruins so many potentially awesome lives. You know, we get distracted. All of these things, they're trying to pull us off of our control. They're trying to weed us into the energy that they want. They're trying to weed us into the doom and the gloom that's out there. We all know that the news, you know, if it bleeds, it leads. We can still help people. There is always going to be a market, and there will always be people out there that we can serve. Our job is to show up every day and to focus on our circles of control and how we can influence, serve others to a higher level. So going in with the mindset, focusing on what we can control, focusing on the right activities. This is where we want to make sure that we are starting each day. Now we're going to go over into some of the action steps and start talking about some of the things that we can really do to make sure that we are doing things at the highest level possible. So in Ninja, we really focus on moving into the mindset of a relational business, because there are 2 mindsets out there. There's the transaction mindset and there's the relationship mindset. So let's talk about why it's so important to have a relational mindset. So there was a study done a couple of years ago, and they interviewed just over 13,000 homeowners, and they asked them, have you heard from your realtor again after closing? 74% of them said they never heard from their realtor again. 20% said they heard from them occasionally, but only 6% talked about hearing from them on a regular basis. You see, a lot of the 74%. Now, I want to just tell you truthfully, sometimes we just get busy. And I know I have been part of that 74%, not because I meant to not call anybody, but we get busy. And this is another reason why having a system together is so important, because the system is going to keep you on the path of the 6%. But so many people really have this transaction mindset where we think about, oh, you know what? They just bought their home a couple of years ago. They're good to go. And we just move on looking for the next transaction. Remember, there are no past clients, and our job is to help people during their transaction and between the transaction. And the other thing that we have to remember is that everyone in our sphere also has a sphere of influence. So there was a study done by Harris Interactives, and also the National Association of Realtors keeps an eye on this too. And what they tell us is that for every person, for every household that we have a relationship with, they will run into 4 people in any year that also may want to do something in real estate. So I'm going to say that again. For every relationship that we have, they will also run into 4 people in any given year that want to do something in real estate. It could be a friend, a family member, a coworker. And when we think about this, we realize there is so much abundance. So think about if you had 100 relationships. I'm not going to say 100 people in your database, because it's not about the people, it's about the relationships. So if you have 100 relationships, that is the potential for 400 leads. And think about the leads that you are getting from the people in your sphere. They are going to be higher quality than a blind lead that you get. For most of us, having 400 quality leads would be all the business that we need. Let's just take it down a notch. Let's say that you only had 1 lead from each of them. That is still 100 leads. That probably will turn into somewhere between 18 and 30 transactions for you. So can you see the value of our relationships? And when we take care of our people, the people will take care of us. So I want you to think about how many people are in your sphere of influence. How are the relationships going? Because for most of us, we probably have more than 100 people. So what is the abundance factor that you have? And are we maybe missing out on some of these things? This is why Ninja is so important, because it's about taking care of our people and about showing up for them. And when we show up for our people, they show up for us. So Simon Sinek, who is also one of my very favorite people in the world, he was at the Inman conference a couple years ago, and he was the last speaker. And everybody was coming up and talking about all the new technology. And don't get me wrong, technology is really cool. If it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't be here with you today. So technology has a place, and technology is fantastic. But we can't hide behind the technology. So they asked Simon, what do you think about all this technology that's out there? And he said this quote, human beings are social animals, and relationships will always win. There are a small percentage of people out there who just want a transaction, but most want a relationship. Invest in your relationships because they are your most valuable assets. And I think that this is so profound and so true. I hear people all the time that come to me and they say, oh, I can invest and buy this zip code. I can, I have someone that, I ran into, they were spending over $40,000 a month in internet leads. At the end of the year, they made about $750,000. But you know what? They spent almost $600,000 in leads. That's not working smart. We've got to work smarter. We've got to work on building these relationships. And the thing that ninjas understand is that we're not in the relationship business. In the real estate business, we are in the relationship business. And we've got to start investing our time, not just our dollars, in building these relationships because they are valuable. What we find is that the average person moves about every 8 years. But if they also can connect with 4 people every year and pass those referrals on to us, over the course of one life cycle, which is that 8-year cycle from when they close on their house to when they buy a new home, there is actually the potential for about 34 transactions in one life cycle with one client. And the thing is one client doesn't only work with us. Many times they work with us for 3 or 4 life cycles. So when we have one relationship, if we invest in that one relationship, over the lifetime of working with them, they could yield us well over $1 million in commissions earned. So one relationship can equate to over $1 million. So what if you have 100 relationships? What if you have 250 relationships? These relationships are valuable for us. And you know what? I don't know where the internet is going to be in another 15 or 20 years, but I do know where my sphere of influence is going to be if I invest in those. And the idea is we have to be the source for them. So when people want to find out something, when people want to go somewhere place to learn something. They go to something called Google. We need to start transitioning to where we become Google for our sphere of influence. We want to be the conduit of knowledge for them, not just real estate knowledge, but everything. We want them to know that we are a safe resource for them to come to find out information. Because if they know that they can come to us to find a vendor, to find out about restaurants, to find out about when school starts, when golf courses are opening, if they know that they can come to us with questions, they will also feel comfortable coming to us and referring their friends to us with their real estate needs. And that is why our job is to become a trusted advisor for them. So how do we become the source? How do we create these relationships? Well, we stay in flow with them. So the ninja term for connection is flow. This is how we add value to them, and this is how we stay connected with them. And we consider every way that we can stay in front of them as part of flow. So yes, it is the face-to-face interactions, it's the phone calls, it's handwritten notes, it's social media, it's everything that we can do to be visible with them versus invisible. But the idea is we can't just throw information out there. The information we put out there has got to be information of value. And we want value on two different forefronts. We want value as a trusted advisor in real estate, and we want value as a trusted advisor in humanity. So we want to work with them, not just by teaching them and educating them on real estate. We want to let them know that we are there for them on the human side of life too. And I'm going to talk with you about how to do that. So we have what we call the 9 habits of success. These are our Ninja 9. These are the things that if you do these on a consistent basis and follow the system, we will help you to ensure that you can increase your business by 20% or more. Because again, it is a system, and this is the way that you are going to build sustainability in what you do. So you guys ready for it? Because here we go. So let's go over and go through the Ninja 9. So the first one is one, and it's a practice of mindset. It is about showing up with gratitude. So what we encourage you every day is to focus and start your day, even before you get out of bed, on identifying 3 new things that you are grateful for. And you can go to the big ones. You can go to family, health, all of those things, which is fantastic. But you know what? Don't forget the small things. Sometimes it is the littlest things that really make the difference. A comfy bed to sleep in. This morning I got woken up by my dog giving me puppy kisses. And you know what? I love that. I'm grateful for my dog. You know, it could be the sun that is shining. It could be a good cup of coffee. You know, whatever it is, don't forget the small things. Why do we do gratitudes, and why do we do them first thing in the morning? Our brain is most susceptible to thought the first 20 minutes of the day and the last 20 minutes of the day. So we want to make sure that we are feeding it with positivity, because this is the first step in getting us into that performance champion quadrant. Now, what I am encouraging a lot of my ninjas to do is to not just start your days with gratitudes, but also end your days with gratitude. I refer to this as bookending your day. Being that I know that our brain is most susceptible to thought the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes, I have my morning routine of gratitude, and at the end of the day, I have an end of the day idea with gratitude. What I know is that our days can get crazy, and even with the best laid plans, we can fall off track sometimes. And it's very easy for us to get to the end of the day and end the day with, oh, I'm so tired, and oh, look at everything I didn't get done. And we forget all the good stuff that we did get done. So at the end of the day, I encourage you to focus on what are 3 great things that happened today. Maybe who did I connect with today? What did I learn today? Because maybe I didn't get everything on my to-do list done, but maybe I connected with an old friend and had a 2-hour conversation with them that was fantastic. Maybe I got sidetracked because I went and showed a property and ended up writing a contract. That's a really great thing. So I don't want you to lose sight. So have gratitude in the beginning of the day, the end of the day. The other reason that gratitude is important is because our brain is a computer, and it cannot hold 2 conflicting thoughts at a time. It cannot be in sadness and gratitude at the same time. It cannot be in victimhood and championship at the same time. So even if you're finding that you are in the middle of the day and you're getting a little crispy, maybe you came out of an appointment and it didn't go well, maybe you had a difficult conversation with a client, maybe you had a fight with one of your kids or a significant other, take 30 seconds and get yourself back into gratitude, and it'll help you shift that energy. So very simple. You can just think about it. You can write it down. You can have a gratitude journal, but really work on getting yourself into gratitude. The second one is the concept of showing up. This is one that I feel is so important, especially now that so many of us are working from home. We could be off our schedule. You have got to make sure that you are showing up every day and getting ready to go. So showing up means both mentally and physically. So we have a concept, and we are really encouraging you. Do not check your voicemails and your email first thing in the morning. Now, I am not telling you to wait until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just telling you to take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to lay the foundation to get yourself ready for the day. So I encourage you to have a morning routine. Now, my morning routine is a little bit longer than others, so you can have one like mine, or yours can be much shorter. Mine is about an hour long. I am an early bird, so I do get up at about 5:15. And what I get up is I get up and I do my gratitudes. Then generally what I do now that I'm at home is I take my dog and we go for a walk, and I generally listen to a podcast to get my brain going and to kind of open it up to learning. Then I come back, get my coffee, and I sit down. I do my written affirmations. I do some other journaling. I do my handwritten notes, and then I identify sort of what my targets are for the day. I call them my big three. I say, what are the top 3 things that I need to get done today? And then I can look at those 3 things and sort of put them into my schedule and know what I need to do. I look over who am I coaching, who am I teaching, so I can again get myself into my performance quadrant, and I check in with my 5 words. Then I'm ready to go and I can jump into my day. You know, we want to make sure that we are doing these. I still am doing these. I do these things when I'm on the road. I do these things when I'm at home. I haven't stopped showing up, because even though a good 80% of my business is on the road, I'm not doing that right now. But you know what? I still have work to do. So every day I am still showing up. I have had to adjust how I show up, and I have started front loading my days. I know that I am sharpest in the morning, and, you know, being that my son is a teenager and sleeps till 10 or 11, you know, I get up and I do a lot of what I need to do. And most days I am done by about 12 or 1. So I'm working from about, 7 a.m. till about 12 or 1. So I'm still getting a pretty solid day in, but then I'm off for the rest of the day. So I can hang out, go for a walk, do a workout, watch a movie, play mom if I need to do that. When Nicholas was doing homeschooling, that's when I would do homework with him. So you can adjust how you're doing, but the idea is you still need to show up. So before we continue on, any questions on gratitudes and showing up? Maybe your morning routine includes, reading. I have people that read scripture, they do meditation, they, work out. Others have breakfast. I have a husband and wife team, and they have breakfast together every day. So, it could be as short or as long as you want. But any other questions or comments on this? Yeah, and if you do want to speak, again, we have a smaller group, so you can unmute yourself if you'd like to do it.
Clara, my name is Shirley, and I had a question. This is going back many, many, many slides back, and you had talked about in the statistics that the people who stayed in touch were only 6%, and that was done regularly. Do you have any idea how they were doing that? What was the frequency of their regularity?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So with the 20%, what they had said is they maybe had been contacted a couple of times a year, possibly by mail or by phone call, but it was about 2 touches a year. And what they found with the 6% is they were touching them on a regular basis of monthly, and doing both more personal direct contacts such as phone calls, face-to-faces, in addition to no less than once a month mailings. So that's how they were connecting with them. And so that's how we, again, have our system, because our system, and that's why, again, with the Ninja system, a lot of these are daily and some of these are weekly ones, so that we're setting you up to get into that 6%. But it's no less than on a monthly basis. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. All right, so let's continue on to the next one, handwritten notes. Handwritten notes are something that I feel are extremely powerful, and I think have become somewhat of a lost art. A lot of people now are communicating, and they're still sending notes of gratitude, but they're sending them over text messaging and email. You have to think of this almost like a multiple choice question. If you remember when you were in school, there were always 2 right answers. One was somewhat right and one was more right. Well, the handwritten notes are going to be more right than a text message. Why do we do handwritten notes? It is all about acknowledgement and appreciation. Outside of food, clothing, and shelter, human connection is the next basic human need. And we really want people to feel that. People also keep handwritten notes on average 7 to 10 days. That's 7 to 10 days of them still looking at it and feeling good. So you can do handwritten notes to thank people for working with you. They can be business related, but they can also just be, again, human related. Maybe it's just because. Maybe you were looking at Facebook and you noticed that they had a pet that passed away. Send them a card telling them how sorry you are. Just connect people. I was driving through your neighborhood and thought of you. Birthday cards. They don't have to be business. You know, you can just work on it and connect with them. So the handwritten notes are so impactful. And we encourage you to do 2 a day or 10 a week. And you know, doing 2 a day, it's going to impact you for that day. It's a great gratitude practice for you. But think about if you did 10 a week, 50 weeks out of the year. It starts to compound and it really starts to make an impact. Also, when they go to the mailbox, instead of bills or junk, they're going to see that you took time to put pen to paper to work on them. So I have a note here. One of the things that I did early in quarantine was clear out an antique writing desk that had become warehouse for odds and ends. It's now stocked with all your cards, stamps, and it makes it easy to do. And that's exactly it. So you do need to have a system. I have my little box of cards right here, and I have lots of colored ones. I also use send out cards, which is more of an online automated one. But I will tell you that the handwritten notes, people do take notice to them, and we don't do them to get business. We do them because they are the right thing to do. So again, the 3 magic phrases that you can go to if you're looking for ways to do a handwritten note are the thank you. Again, thank you for working with me. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for your post on Facebook, whatever it is. The second one would be your condolence or your congratulations. And then the third one is just, I was just thinking of you. So a lot of times what I do is when my week starts, and I'll talk about the weekly plan in a little bit, is I sort of identify who did I interact with last week that would warrant, you know, me doing a card. And I kind of just get my target list together and then I fill them in as the week goes. Putting your business card in, that's up to you. I would tell you the way that I run it is if I do meet them at a business to business function, I do put my card in there. If it's a condolence or congratulations type one, I don't put my card in there. And if it's with my sphere, I generally don't. That's just me. But whatever feels good for you, you know, we're all adults and you sort of have to, you know, do your own inner compass on it. So 2 handwritten notes a day. But you know what? If you haven't done them before, just start. You know, it's all about progress, not perfection. And a lot of times, you know, while doing your gratitudes, that's an exact way. A lot of times when you're thinking about what you're grateful for, it does remind you of all the good people in your world. And it's a great way to do your handwritten notes. Any other questions on the handwritten notes? Okay, so the next 2 come together. It's our hot list and our warm list. One of the things I love about Ninja and the Ninja system is it doesn't just focus on today's business, it also focuses on planting seeds for tomorrow's business. This is another way that we can create sustainability and get out of the peaks and the valleys. So our hot list are our current transactions. Those are the people that we are currently working with, our active listings and our active buyers. We want to make sure that on a weekly basis, we are definitely checking in with them and that we are staying connected with them. The number 1 source of referral business for us is our current clients because they are currently working with us. They are probably going to hear about other people that might want to do something in real estate. They also have personal experience to be able to talk to people and say, yeah, I've been working with Clara, she's great. And so they can experience it. So we really want to make sure that we are always adding that level of value and really talking with our hot list. The other thing with our hot list is if they are active clients, our goal is to get them from being an active client to an under contract client. So some of the things that we want to be paying attention to is how can I serve them? What conversations do I need to be having with them this week to help them go forward? So if I have an active seller, do we need to talk about repositioning their price? Do we need to talk about maybe painting a wall? You know, doing something with the carpet, you know, the feedback that we're getting. If it's a buyer, are they stuck between 2 neighborhoods and do we have to help them find clarity? Are they getting confused and overwhelmed with the financing? So you sort of want to think about how can I get them from being active to under contract. Our warm list is our business tomorrow. And this is where we really want to start looking for people that have change. This is critical right now because I promise you there is a wave of change that is coming that is going to equate to people moving. You know, we know there's going to be a baby boom, and that's going to come around the first of the year. So paying attention to that. There's also going to be a divorce boom. We have to pay attention to that too. I personally believe there's going to be a first-time home buyer boom because I think there's a lot of adult children that are living at home that after time and all this closeness are going to decide it's time to move out. There's a lot of people. I have one of my friends and she has been renting for years. She called me. She's like, I want more space. You know, I want to have a studio in my house. So she's going to, you know, look at buying a house. So there's going to be a lot of those. There's going to be a lot of people, and for many of you, even in this area, that are going to be more remote in their working. So they're going to have the opportunity to move to where they've always wanted to live because they can now work remotely. They may not have to deal with the commutes anymore. So you got to pay attention to these items and pay attention to the change that is coming because this is going to be your business 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road. So you really want to just focus on these. And again, you're not calling them saying, so, hey, I think you might be moving in 6 months. So what do you think about that? This is where you would just want to connect with them. How's life? How's business? What's happening? And listen, Facebook is another great place for this because people are posting everything that's happening in their world and you can start identifying. So anybody that you feel is having some of these changes coming on. And John, I don't know, did you send out the 16 reasons for change? No? So let's send that out to people after this call. In Ninja, we've identified the top 16 reasons that people have change in their world. Getting married, getting divorced, getting promotions, all those things. What you would want to do is go through your sphere of influence and go through each of the names and say, can they say yes to any of these 16 questions? And if they can say yes to any of those questions, they can go on your warm list. What we find is that you can put about 20% of your sphere of influence on your warm list at any given time. Not that they're all going to do anything, but this is a great way to start looking at where your business can come from down the road. So it's great. And yeah, so I'm trying to be respectful of time. I know that we might go a little bit past the hour. So if you do need to jump off, I respect that. Again, we are recording it, but we'll try to get as much done in maybe the next 15 to 20 minutes. The next one are real estate reviews. And the real estate review is sort of an annual summary. It is not a CMA. So we are not looking to give them value on their property. The purpose of the real estate review is threefold, actually. One is to educate them and inform them on what is happening in the real estate market. The second one is to stay connected with them as their trusted advisor on an annual basis. And the third one is to show them, again, that we are the source of real information. So even though you're connecting with them during the year, what you would want to do is on the annual anniversary, their home anniversary. So if they closed in October, every October, you're going to provide them with a report that just has some statistics about what is happening in the market in general, and then maybe what has sold in their neighborhood in the last few months. It is a 20 to 30,000 foot view of what is happening. You just, again, want to educate them. People want to know what's going on, and we all know that they are going to information sources like Zillow that are not correct. So by doing this, we can let them know this is what is happening, and then follow it up with, if you would like more detailed information, let me know. The idea is if you could sit down with them one-on-one and do these, you can have some amazing conversations with them. It is just like I sit down every year with my financial planner and go through my portfolio to make sure it's up to date, to make sure I'm on track. We should be doing this with people and their real estate portfolios. Be sure if you don't have their full name displayed in your Zoom profile, you can, oh yeah, send the follow-up message. Sorry, that was more of an admin one. So yeah, so putting the real estate reviews together, the RPR report, the real estate property report, is a great way to do it. Again, it is not a CMA, so they only take a few minutes to put together. The whole point is to get them talking and to get them working on it. So these are just a great tool to do. I know your leadership team can probably give you some great examples. Maybe what we can do on another call is do more of a training on these if it's something that you guys find a value and would like to do that. So we're doing that. The next one is hugely important. It is 50 Ford conversations. At the end of the day, this is a contact sport. You have got to connect with people. So what does Ford stand for? Ford is your safe zone. Ford is an acronym that stands for family, occupation, recreations, and dreams. This is where the gold lies. And if any of it, this is your secret weapon right here. When we talk with people, if they are our current clients, oftentimes it is very easy to talk with them because we have a deal going on. But what about the other people? Remember we talked about the 74% that people did not follow up with? Many times they don't follow up with them because they don't know what to say. They don't want to sound salesy, so they don't want to call them and have it always be about real estate. Ford is your secret weapon to be able to talk with people, whether it's face-to-face or over the phone. Ford is the components of what is most important to them. We all know that everybody's very favorite topic in the entire world is themselves. And if we can get them talking about themselves, we are going to learn so much. And this is also a great way for us to learn how can we be a resource for them. So some examples. If I'm talking with someone, maybe I haven't talked with them in a couple of months, I might ask them, how's your family doing? Michael Day, you did this to me early on before we even started recording. You asked me how my son was doing. You know, that's important. You wanted to learn about me. And I mentioned how he's playing football and all of these things. So I'm telling you about them. Maybe I'm talking with someone and they tell me that they're stressed out because, you know, they're having a hard time, you know, with their kids and homeschooling, or they're feeling lonely and missing their family. How can I be a resource for them? Well, maybe I can send them some articles on tips for homeschooling. I know what some of my clients were doing early on in this is they were holding tutorial sessions to teach people in their sphere how to use Zoom so they could sign up and do Zoom calls with their family. Has nothing to do with real estate, but they just added value to them. Occupation. So many people are working from home. Many of us have been doing this for years. They haven't. So can we find out how they are doing working from home? Maybe we can give them some tips and tools on how to create their home into a home office, how to do some organizing there. I know I was talking with someone and she was nervous about finding a scanner. She was like, I have to go buy a scanner. And I said, no, you don't. I said, here's an app that you can download on your phone for free, and it'll turn your phone into a scanner. Nothing to do with real estate, just saved her 100, 150 bucks, and it's working. You know, again, listening for those people who may have change in their work. Maybe if they're getting furloughed, can we connect them, you know, with a lender or a financial planner to help them? You know, recreation, what are you doing for fun? You know, I work with a lot of people who do yoga because I do yoga, so a lot of people in my sphere do yoga. I sent them some online classes. I actually hired one of my yoga instructors to do an online class for me and some of my girlfriends, and we could do yoga together. So what are some things, you know, letting people know. I have tons of people in Colorado, camping's really big. And even though I don't camp, I still was letting people know what campsites were opening and the dates. That's a great way to add value to them. And then dreams are anything future oriented. Where do they want to go? You know, how do we want to help them? What restaurants do they want to go to? Ford is the way to do it, not just now, but always. And it is one of the best ways that you can connect with people and build relationships. I generally call my sphere on Fridays. Fridays is a great day for me to call my people because everybody's happy on Fridays. And most of the time, I'm not doing trainings and coachings on Fridays. It's sort of my more open day that I work on my projects and do those. So I just call people and I'm like, hey, happy Friday. What do you got planned for the weekend? And it already has Ford built into it. You don't need to go through all of the 4 components, but what happens is people know that you care about them. And it's that old adage, nobody cares about you until they know that you care about them. So Ford is going to be one of the easiest ways that you can reach out to people and stay connected. Now, if you happen to be part of that 74%, one of the people that maybe has fallen off the path a little bit and hasn't connected with people, that's okay. Just call them. It's just a phone call. I had this happen to me, and what I did is I just called a few people and I said, you know, I know we haven't spoken in a couple of years and I feel badly about that, but I've made a commitment to get back in touch with people. And I just wanted, you were on my mind. How are things going? They were some of the best conversations that I had, because the reality is the phone goes two ways. They weren't calling me either. So it's okay. It's just a phone call. And then you can follow it up with a handwritten note. Then maybe you can follow it up with a real estate review, and then, you know, just continue on. Don't overcomplicate it. Just talk with people. The next one is your database. Our database is the central nervous system to our business. So you've got to make sure that it is clean and it is up to date. So take some time. Go through there, make sure you have the right addresses. You know if they have kids, you know what they like to do for hobbies. This is really going to be able to connect you with them, and now is a great time more than ever. I have a lot of my clients, and what they're doing is they're going through each name, and that's how they're making their forward conversations, and they're just going through there, and they're learning so much about them, and many of them are picking up a lot of leads. So work on doing that. If you need to do it, it's going to take some time to put it together, but once you really have it together, 10-15 minutes a week to keep it cleaned up is all you need to do. The next one that I want to talk about is our weekly plan. I had mentioned earlier that you are the CEO of your own business, and we need to go into our week with purpose. And I know John has sent out to you a couple forms. I think one of them was the weekly planner, the Monday morning agenda. Here is what you want to do. It doesn't matter what form that you use. Those are just some of the ninja forms that we use. You want to take about 30 to 45 minutes before the week starts. I do mine on Sundays. I have some of my clients, most of my clients do it Monday morning. But what you want to do is you want to do 3 things during this 30, 45 minute session. The first thing you want to do is you want to reflect on last week. What happened last week? Who did I connect with? What leads did I get? Did I get any, new contracts? What worked? What didn't work? Just sort of reflect on last week. Then what you want to do is you want to go into this week and identify your targets for this week. What are the dates and deadlines that I have? What appointments do I have? Who do I need to follow up with? This is where I start thinking about who is going to be on my target list for calls, who is on my target list for my handwritten notes, and I just sort of get my targets. What projects do I need to work on? Then the third thing I do is I go and I put my schedule together. You've got to change your mindset and think of a schedule as a good thing. A schedule is not a limitation. It is actually freedom, because the things that get scheduled get done. But because we are ninjas, we're going to schedule things a little differently. Remember the ninja goal. Increase your income per hour and have a life. So the first thing that needs to go into your schedule is your life. The first thing that goes into my schedule is my time with my son. What days do I have him, since I share custody? Do we have any school things, sporting things? All of those go in. The second thing that goes in is taking care of me. When am I going to work out? When am I taking time off? I have all of that. Then I can fill it in with my other work items. You've got to make sure that you build in time for your life. Otherwise, your life won't happen. And everything is now an appointment. That doesn't mean that you cannot move things, but you only move things if it makes good business sense. So, how do I know if it makes good business sense? I already mentioned to you that I generally don't have coachings and things on Fridays. What's today? Today is Friday. I had this day blocked out, but when the opportunity came up, it made good business sense to me. I wanted to do this. I wanted to connect. You guys are my clients. I wanted to, look at this opportunity. It made good business sense. So I could carve out an hour to do this, but let's say that it didn't make good business sense. Let's say that I was going to be out of town, then I would have had to say no. I wouldn't want to do this from the road. So you have to think about these things, and you have to start looking at them. You've got to start asking yourself, if I change this, if I do this new thing, what am I saying no to? Am I saying no to my family? Am I saying no to my other clients? If I had down that I had calls to make, can I change that? And can I do my calls at a later time? But I kind of have appointments to those people that I've promised myself I was going to make calls to. So you really want to do that. And what I find is that when people do the weekly plan, we have a higher propensity of getting the right things done, because it calls our attentions to do those. So, you guys are so kind. I see a lot of very nice notes in the chat box, so thank you. But you want to make sure you do this. Now, my clients have to send me their weekly plan, and I do that for the accountability. I send my plan to my coach, because it is so important to do these. So you really want to make sure that you are doing your weekly plan. It helps you go into your week and really get clear on Again, you don't have to do everything. It's the right things to do. So those are the Ninja 9. And this, again, is a system. You're not always going to get 100%. I don't always get 100%. But I know for a fact, if I can follow this system about 85 to 90% of the time, I'm going to hit my targets. You know, also, I know if I go on vacation, if I get sick, I know how to plug back into things. But when you work the system works for you. The idea is focus on the productive activities, and the productive activities will take care of yourself. Going back to what Shirley asked earlier about how do we stay connected, some of the things I encourage people to do with your database, because again, if you have 250 people in your database, you're not necessarily going to call them every week. Maybe what you do is you have the idea of, I'm going to rotate through my 250 people as far as a personal contact, face-to-face or over the phone, every quarter. That's about 15 people a week. That's 3 a day. So, you know, every day you got to do something. So, you know, maybe you're doing the monthly mailings to everyone, and then maybe you're rotating through with a phone call every quarter. And then maybe you're doing some, you know, holiday things or client events a couple times a year. But that is what's going to help you stay on this idea of the Ninja Path. If you follow this system and you work it with purpose, you will be insured. And that is the whole goal of Ninja, is to keep you focused on the things you can control and to keep you focused so that you can be a part of that 6%. And the idea is, are you living your life by design or default? Are you living on purpose or on accident? And the more that you can bring this system in and start working on this, but I really want you to hear this, and I want you to hear this loud and clear. It is all about progress, not perfection. Start today. If you've never done handwritten notes, do one today. If you've been talking to 25 people, try to get to 30 this week. Progress, not perfection. If you fall off track, okay, that's why we reflect. What pulled us off track? Maybe I got pulled off track because I had to, because I had a sick kid. Maybe I got pulled off track because I broke up with my boyfriend and I got depressed. Maybe I got pulled off track because I just was being lazy. All right, let's acknowledge that and move forward. It's gone, and let's move forward. And how can I get back on track and plug back into the system today? So with all that said, I know I've gone a little over time, so I'll thank you all for staying with me, but we do have time for some questions. So does anybody have any questions, comments, anything that I can help them with right now?
Remember to unmute.
Yeah. What was a takeaway? Does anyone want to share either in the chat box or unmute, and what a takeaway was for them?
A big takeaway for me was I get overwhelmed with all the technological stuff and think, I'm never going to get all this. All these new agents, they're going to have everything down, and I'm going to be this old bag in the back. The personal touch is still the personal touch.
It always will be. And I mean, in so many ways, I think that we are so over-connected that I think sometimes it can cause us to be disconnected. And I still think that the nose to nose, belly to belly is always going to be the best thing to do.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump in, and you know, it's living by design. And again, it's on your last screen here, but that how important that is to actually design it and then live by that design each week. So I think that's a great point.
I love it.
I'm new to Ninja, and so I felt like I was kind of circling at the airport trying to land my plane in a fog, and you just cleared out the landing strip, so I know where to go with the Ninja 9.
Yay! I love that. Thank you.
Can I weigh in? You guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so I previously worked for a nonprofit organization that was mission oriented, and then I worked in the government, which was very mission oriented. So when I switched to real estate, because I loved it, I wanted to get involved with it. The difficulty for me was, how do I go from nonprofit and government service to for-profit service for myself? Yet I know I'm helping people, and I think that what I liked about this is it reflects back to me. What I was starting to develop was, how do I make my work in real estate of service? So, and I've discovered that with all of my clients so far, it's really been about relationship building, and more than anything else. But thank you for sending that to us and giving me more of that to think about.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's, I mean, you hit it right on the head. And that was a big eye opener for me when I came to Ninja, is, you know, it's really again, about how can I serve other people and be there for them. And once I sort of got that in my head, everything clicked. So. Okay.
Claire, something that I heard this morning was that I can measure my value and the value of my relationships. So, for me, what it made me reflect on is surrounding myself with the right people and then providing value to them will make all the difference in my life. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So got a question here. Is there a plan within Ninja to manage the business better when it gets to be too much? Yes and no, and that's a pretty lengthy conversation. So Jean, if you wanted to reach out to me, we can talk about this, more one-on-one. But the item is you're going to have to delegate. That's the short answer to this. And what we find is that the number one killer of success is success. We start doing the system, we get successful, and we stop doing the system. So the idea is you need to stay in your vital few, which is pretty much the Ninja 9. And then you're going to have to find ways to help delegate out some of the more administrative tasks so that you can invest your time in those items. So getting a transaction coordinator, delegating out some of the marketing, making sure you're using the tools that the company has, because for most of our top ninjas, where they're really seeing it is they are focusing on, again, staying with clients, the negotiations, but they're starting to get rid of the other items or bringing in showing assistants to help with buyers who maybe are not in their sphere, the internet leads or the open house leads that they don't really have relationships with. So the best way to do it is you're going to have to start outsourcing, which I know can be really scary at first because it's sort of the chicken and the egg, and sometimes we just have to jump and do it. And I'll give you an example of how it works. I was working with an agent in Seattle, and she was a really good agent. She was making about $600,000, and she was spending about 80% of her time in admin. And so we finally had the discussion of you need to hire an assistant. And within 6 months, her admin time went down to about 55%. And she took that difference from the 55 to the 80%, reinvested that back into her flow time, and her business almost doubled within just 6 months. We could see the progression of her being on track. So again, by being able to transfer the admin work out and reinvest that time back into more flow, that's how it starts to work. And that's where it comes back to that investment of time. So I know that's a lot. So again, if you want to reach out to me, offline, we can have a more deep conversation about it.
Clara, I have a question. As a mom of like a young child, it can be really hard to start a day with, you can start with gratitude, but to kind of have a day that is structured can be very hard. How have you done that, or how do you know realtors or people who have done that?
Yeah, and that is an area of my specialty, being that I was a single mom and Nicholas was about 3 when I started all of this. And it is, it will grow and it will get easier. Sometimes your times of focus have to be much smaller. And a lot of times what I would do is, I would try to get things done, and I would have maybe 30 to 40 minute pockets of focus time where I would go into my bubble and really work on no distractions. And then I would step out of my bubble and sort of check in. Did anybody need me? What were my phone calls? But at least I could have 30 to 40 minutes of, really focused attention. A lot of my flow time was on play dates and doing that. And that's how I got together with people. I got together with other moms, other parents, and did a lot of those. Being that I work with my sphere, they understood it, so I could have some flexibility. And if something came up, it was, hey, I got to bring Nicholas with me, even though it's not ideal. They were able to work. So I think, you have to, again, kind of find how it works. Like I talked about, I front load my days now so I can be a mom more in the afternoons and evenings. But, it was hard. And again, a lot of communication. The biggest thing I had to do is I had to ask for help. And that was really hard for me. But, sometimes I buddied with somebody, and I had a really good friend of mine, and we would buddy up. And if she had to be on an appointment, I would offer to watch her kid and vice versa, so we could kind of buddy up together and, you know, be able to allow each other some time to do that. But again, if you are struggling with that, you know, that could be a conversation we could have one-on-one, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and we can talk a little bit more. John,
Clara,
anything else that you have that you want to sort of end today with?
well, I would like, if you could do this, to be, you know, some people might want to reach out to you, you know, with questions, and who knows, maybe coaching or whatever. So how could I do that if I wanted to? We have
Just
some
yell out
guests
the
here.
window. Just yell out the
Yeah.
window. I'm like Superwoman. I just come if you yell for me. No, thank you so much. You can reach out to me. My email is pretty simple. It's just clara@ninjacoaching.com. So it's CLARA@ninjacoaching.com. You can find me all over social media. I'm on Facebook, Clara Capano or Capano Consulting. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, so you can find me in all of those places as well. For any of you, you know, moms out there, that is a niche of mine. It's the mompreneur, and I actually have a new book coming out in August called Women Who Boss Up. And it's a collaboration with me and 15 other women around the world that are sort of sharing our stories of, you know, struggle, success, growth, all of that. So if you're interested in that, you can let me know, and I'm doing pre-orders. And so yeah, not that I don't love you men out there, but you know, I'm not one of you, and I am a single working mom, so I get that mindset a little bit more. My Instagram handle is The Entrepreneurial Mom, which is a mouthful, so it's The Entrepreneurial Mom, and I have a second one, just Clara Capano.
Awesome.
Thank you all so much, and we'll be seeing you again soon in a few more weeks. So, you know, I look forward to it, and just really appreciate all your time for being here.
Thank you
Clara.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take
And
care.
before we go, I
Yeah.
just want to say thanks to Maureen Dunn for making this happen. I also
Yeah.
want to say thanks to Michael Day for
Thanks,
bringing you to us in the first place, and
Absolutely.
a couple of people that I'm grateful for, and you as well. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank
You
Bye-bye.
as well, John.
Bye.
Bye.
It's like a game of poker here. Who's last? Carrie Sue, great job too. Thank you for bringing a few guests. Shirley, thanks for your question. Love you.
John. Thanks for
Maureen,
running
thank
these.
you.
Yes.
Say again?
Thanks for running these ninja meetings every week.
You know, I'm the one that benefits the most. Thanks for letting me do it. It's really just makes my day. You know, I enjoy it so much. Keeps me on track, keeps me focused, positive, you know, player, not a victim. All the things that they talk about. So it's cool.
Terrific. Thank you.
All right.
Everybody
I'll go ahead and end the meeting. Reach out if anybody needs any further information about this or Ninja. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.